The House on Ridge Lane. Part 1. The legend begins. There are houses that go unnoticed for decades. Not abandoned, not haunted, just forgotten. The house on Ridge Lane was never so lucky. It sat at the edge of town, where the pavement cracked and the forest reclaimed its corners. Built in 1911, the two-story farmhouse once belonged to the Matheson family, though most people in Hartwell, Pennsylvania, couldn't tell you when the last Matheson actually lived there. The mailbox rusted off its post sometime in the 90s. The screen door groaned in the wind. A single white shutter had hung sideways for years, but the lights were always off, and no one mowed the grass. The first time the house made the papers was in 1954, when two teenage boys went missing after sneaking in on Halloween night. Their bikes were found by the fence. One leaned against a tree. The other lay on its side in the dirt. Their names were Benjamin Cray and Terry Wilkes, both 16. They'd told friends they planned to camp out inside the house overnight to prove it wasn't haunted. They were never seen again. Police swept the property, found no signs of forced entry, no blood, no evidence of foul play. No known family remained to ask questions. Just creaking floors, a torn mattress in the attic, and an oil lantern on the dining table, burnt out. By 1950, locals began calling it the Vanishing House. Present day, Hartwell, PA. In October 2023, I arrived in Hartwell with a single suitcase, 2 cameras, and a recording mic that never seemed to stay charged. I'd driven up from Baltimore in search of quiet, planning to film a short Halloween doc about small-town legends. But what I found was something else entirely. I booked a room at the Hearthstone Inn, musty but quaint, and started asking around. I expected to hear exaggerated stories, maybe a few laughs. Instead, I got cold stares. "You're not going up Ridge, are you?" asked the innkeeper, a round woman named Marla with a thick gray braid and coffee-stained teeth. "I might," I said. "I'm doing a piece on local folklore." She narrowed her eyes. "You want folklore? Talk to Jerry Crane. He's got stories. Was sheriff back in the 80s. Did anything ever happen there? Like, really happen?" Marla leaned over the counter, voice low. "You want my advice? Film a pumpkin patch. Film the damn leaves changing. Don't go up there." The town's unease wasn't just about the house's past. It was about what happened most recently, in 2003. Laura Simmons and Craig DeLuca, both 24, were graduate film students from Temple University. They arrived in Hartwell with a crew of 3, 2 friends and a sound tech, to shoot a short horror film inspired by the Ridge Lane house. They called it The Hollow Frame. Locals saw them around town for a few days, eating at the diner, buying coffee, lugging cameras. One waitress recalled Craig asking about property lines near the old Matheson house. Said he wanted to film the real thing, she remembered. Didn't care if it was boarded up. Their first day of filming was October 12th. By the morning of October 14th, all 5 were missing. Sheriff Crane. I found Jerry Crane, now 78, sitting on the porch of a faded green ranch house 2 blocks from the fire station. His dog barked as I walked up, but Jerry just waved me in. "You with the press?" "Sort of," I said. "I run a small YouTube channel, documentaries, crime, legends." He chuckled. "You people keep showing up every 10 years or so. That house gets more famous the longer no one touches it. Do you mind if I ask about 2003? The film crew?" Jerry stared at me for a moment before nodding toward a weathered lawn chair. "Sit." He lit a cigarette with shaking hands. His voice was dry gravel. They weren't dumb kids. Polite. Asked permission to shoot exterior. I said I couldn't legally stop 'em, but warned 'em anyway. House has history. Bad air. What do you mean, bad air? Place ain't right, he said simply. Doesn't rot. Doesn't fall down like it should. Inside's full of dust but no cobwebs. Doesn't feel abandoned. Feels paused. He looked out over the street. After they disappeared, we searched it again. Same as every time. Nothing. Equipment was gone. Their rental van, still parked at the bottom of the hill. All 5 phones found locked inside. What about inside the house? Anything left behind? One thing, he said. A cassette tape. Half burned. Had no label. Took it to the station and played it. Just static until it wasn't. He turned toward me. You ever hear someone scream through a wall? He gave me a copy. The tape lasted 37 seconds. First, dead air. Then, soft rustling. Footsteps. At second 23, a faint voice. A woman, breathless, whispering, "It's not the house." Then a man. Don't open that." Click. Then screaming. The kind of scream that hits your spine before your ears. Something metal scraping. Then nothing. I've heard fake horror audio before. This wasn't that. There was no flair, no score, no setup. Just raw fear caught on analog. I've replayed it 20 times. It still makes me sweat. That night, I spoke to a group of local teens gathered at the diner. I told them I was working on a story about the Ridge Lane house. "You're too late," one of them said. "They tore it down last year." "That's not true," another said. "They tried, like twice. Bulldozer wouldn't start. Then the guy broke his leg. Plus," said a girl with pink braids, "there's this dare people do. Go inside and make it to the top bedroom. Spend 2 minutes. You hear stuff." "What kind of stuff?" She smirked. "Depends on what you bring with you." "What does that mean?" Someone brought a picture of their grandma once. Heard her voice screaming in the attic. Another kid chimed in. My cousin's friend went in and saw herself walking back out. They all laughed, but the air shifted. Beneath the jokes, I sensed a shared discomfort. They believed something was wrong with that place, even if they didn't say it out loud. Over the next 2 days, I researched the original owners, Joseph and Clara Matheson. Census records showed they'd had 3 children between 1912 and 1921, but by 1930, only 1 remained listed. Judith, the youngest. No death records, no obituaries, just vanished from the paperwork. In 1936, Joseph Matheson was admitted to a state hospital. Diagnosis: delusional schizophrenia with persistent visual hallucinations. His final recorded words before transfer: "There's someone behind the walls. Clara talks to it when I'm asleep." Clara was never committed, but no public record exists of her after 1942. That same year, Judith, age 21, was arrested for trespassing in Philadelphia. Police noted she was found carrying a human tooth wrapped in a silk handkerchief. She claimed it was a gift from the house. On the morning of my last day in Hartwell, I drove up Ridge Lane. There was no keep out sign, no fencing, just gravel and overgrowth. The house was still there. Its roof sagged slightly, as if tired of waiting. The porch had collapsed on one side. One window on the second floor remained intact, curtain unmoved. I didn't go in, not yet, but I stood at the edge of the drive and listened, and I swear I heard it. From somewhere inside, deep, muffled, low. A knocking, 3 times, even though the wind was still. I looked around. but ultimately I couldn't find anything. Safe to say, I ended up not sleeping much that night. I kept the cassette recorder on the nightstand. Every hour or so, I replayed the same 37 seconds, listening for something new. Maybe a whisper I missed, a background sound. I'd done this before, obsessed over sounds and voices, thinking I could pull truth from static. It never worked. Still, I couldn't stop. At 3:17 a.m., the power flickered, just once, long enough for the clock to reset. The room felt colder, though I hadn't touched the thermostat. I got up, checked the window. The trees outside barely moved. Then I noticed something odd. The cassette recorder's record button had been pressed. I hadn't touched it. I hit rewind and played it back. Silence. Then a soft creak. The kind a door makes when it opens just a little. I didn't sleep after that. The next day I tracked down a man named Harold Fisk, who had been 12 years old in 1987 when he and his older brother snuck into the house on a dare. He was now 48, owned a garage near the edge of town, and didn't want to talk at first. But when I mentioned the cassette and the 2003 disappearances, he agreed to meet behind the shop once his employees went home. Harold lit a cigarette and tapped the ashes into an empty oil can. "We were idiots," he said. "Me and Joey. Thought we were tough. Brought flashlights, even a slingshot." What happened? We didn't get past the front hallway. Place was freezing, like ice in the air freezing, even though it was July, and it stank, like old meat and rain. He paused, then added, "But it wasn't empty. You saw someone." Not really. Joey said he saw something at the top of the stairs, a girl, long black hair, just standing there, but when we shined the flashlight, she was gone. He flicked his cigarette away. Joey stopped talking after that, like for real. Didn't speak for 2 weeks. My parents thought we got high. They had no clue. I haven't been near that house since. I asked if he thought the girl could have been real, a squatter, a hallucination, a prank. Harold looked me dead in the eye. She wasn't breathing. The attic window. I returned to Ridge Lane that afternoon. I didn't go inside, but I took photos, still frames, close-ups, angled shots of the roofline, the front porch, the attic window. It wasn't until I was back at the inn, editing through the pictures, that I saw it. In one of the attic shots, barely visible through the dirty glass, was a handprint. Not old, not dusty, fresh, as if someone had pressed their palm against the window from inside. The fingers were slightly crooked, spread wide, no smudge, just a perfect, dry outline. I checked the earlier photos, taken seconds apart. The handprint wasn't there before, and it wasn't there after. Just one frame, ending scene, something watching. That evening I stood at the edge of Ridge Lane again. The house loomed at the end of the gravel, framed by pines and the fading sun. I kept thinking about that scream on the tape, about what Jerry Crane had said. The house doesn't feel abandoned. It feels paused. The wind was still. The porch sagged like a mouth held open too long. No movement, no sound. Just that strange heaviness in my chest, like the moment before a thunderclap. I didn't go inside that day, but I knew I would tomorrow, because something in that house wanted to be seen, and I think it was watching me, too. Stay tuned for part 2 and beyond.